Greetings everyone. This is a quick promo before the video begins. If you're new to the channel and you didn't know it yet, I am actually an author in addition to being a YouTuber, and I have 2 books that you can get on Amazon. Operation Red Dragon: The Daikaiju Wars Part 1 and The Occult Mafia. The first is sort of a bizarre, absurdist kaiju anime mashup, and the other is a horror noir story with a hint of a western thrown in there. They're both set in the same universe, and at this point have received mostly positive reviews, so you might want to check them out. I've provided Amazon links for both of them down in the description. They're both available in either paperback or Amazon Kindle, and Operation Red Dragon is also available in audiobook form. So if either of these strike your fancy and you want to support a struggling artist, feel free to go down and check out either one or both of them. Alright, the shameless self-promotion is out of the way, we can get on with the video. Thank you all for your support. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Omni viewer, and as a Blue Oyster Cult fan, I must say that this was a long time coming.
When I did my complete album retrospective on the band, I mentioned that a new album was potentially in the cards, and if it ever materialized, I would be there to review it and make the retrospective complete.
Well, it's finally here. Let's wrap this up with The Symbol Remains. Before reviewing the album itself, I think it's worth recapping how we got here.
Talk of a new album began in 2017, as both Eric Bloom and Donald Buck Dharma-Roser felt the band's current lineup deserved its own place in the studio discography.
Perhaps I should clarify the lineup did undergo some changes since 2001's Curse of the Hidden Mirror.
Danny Miranda is still present on bass, but Richie Castellano now fills Alan's role of keyboards and guitars, and Jules Rodino is on drums. Anyway, that lineup is the current incarnation of Blue Oyster Cult, and the hope was to make some new material with them on a studio album. Eric and Buck said that they just had to find a label to sign up with, and we would get a new album by the end of the year.
Reminder, that was back in 2017.
That year came and went with no updates. We got the same assurance that a new album would materialize sometime in 2018. Then we heard that news again in 2019 when my album retrospective premiered.
At that point, I think many fans were starting to wonder if this promised album would ever materialize.
Suddenly, at the beginning of 2020, we got some news. Blue Oyster Cult had signed up with Frontiers Records, who would be releasing several new live albums and remasters of several classic albums in preparation for that long-awaited brand spankin' new studio album.
At long last progress, it was finally happening. And then 2020 continued.
Plagues, lockdowns, riots, and politics all caused the year to steadily become, well, nightmarish.
The entertainment industry was hit especially hard, with various projects across all mediums being placed on indefinite hold. And the new BOC album was no exception.
After those initial releases, news suddenly dried up. We had no idea how close the album was to completion, or if it even would be completed. True, most of us had bigger issues to confront during this period, but for fans, it seemed as if yet another year would pass without that new album.
Then came the last days of August.
All of a sudden, it was real. We had the title, we had the cover art, we had a full track listing, we had the first 2 singles, soon to be followed by videos at the beginning of September, and most important of all, we had the release date. October 9th of 2020. We just had to wait for 1 more month and the promise would finally be fulfilled. In that time, we would get 2 more songs and videos to whet our appetites, though one of those debuted on release day.
Well, October 9th has come and gone. Time to see if it was worth the wait.
The cover certainly makes a big promise for this album, showing the band's iconic symbol descending like an asteroid into ancient ruins incapable of withstanding the power. This is a clear declaration of a triumphant return. Does the music live up to that image? I'm happy to say that for the most part, it does.
I'll get this out of the way right now. The album is not solid hits from start to finish. There are a few weak numbers on here, at least in my assessment.
Out of the 14 tracks, I can name 3 that may as well have been cut. The Return of St. Cecilia, Secret Road, and There's a Crime I Can Live Without, and they won't be making my regular playlist. The music and lyrics just don't click with me on these ones.
Still, that leaves a remainder of 11 tracks to enjoy, and I really do enjoy them.
What surprises me the most about The Symbol Remains is how a lot of it sounds like classic BOC, particularly stuff from the black and white era. This especially applies to That Was Me and The Alchemist, which have a 70s hard rock heavy metal sound that serves the lyrics quite well. The Alchemist especially has a cool dark fantasy narrative that feels like something right out of Imaginos, though it's not, just to be clear. Meanwhile, songs like Box in My Head and Florida Man sound like some of the stronger numbers from Curse of the Hidden Mirror, being a bit lighter in sound but still good listens.
Box in My Head is the stronger of those two, with lyrics designed to portray mental complexity as sexy. Have I mentioned how mentally complex I am, ladies?
Come on, Omni. You know that's not gonna work.
Just let me have this delusion.
Then you have some numbers that sort of bridge the two styles, such as the paranoid ramblings in Edge of the World, the fantasy-infused war-themed Stand and Fight, and the tragic vampire love ballad Tainted Blood, all of which adds some nice variety to the album's sound.
Speaking of variety, The Symbol Remains does have a few pleasant surprises on it. For starters, it's the first BOC album in a long time where Eric and Buck don't claim the exclusive rights to lead vocals.
Richie gets to sing lead on 3 numbers, and he sounds really good on them, even though one of the songs is on my list of numbers worth cutting. He also trades off lead guitar duties with Buck on occasion, and they work well playing off each other.
And then we have the return of Albert Bouchard.
That's right, the original drummer is back, contributing to the opening track with backing vocals and, yes, more cowbell.
Admittedly, the fact that he only contributes to one song may not seem like much, but his presence on That Was Me really does have a noticeable effect.
The song has a different kind of energy than the rest of the album, which once again demonstrates how the band was always strongest with its original lineup.
There is one unusual choice the album makes, and that is the choice to have Fight be the final track. Now, I like this song, partly because it's not what you expect it to be.
You're probably thinking it'll be a hard rockin' battle song, but really it's a softer tune about the aftermath of a battle, more specifically the narrator's disappointment in how anticlimactic it was. It's a good song, but it's not the one I would have chosen for the end. Now, the closer is most people's last impression of an album, and its tone can affect what that impression will be, so I find it odd that The Symbol Remains ends with a song about someone looking back and being disappointed at something he had high expectations for, especially given the story of how this album finally came to be.
I don't want to believe that this is a subtle message from Eric and Buck that they're getting ready to throw in the towel. Though, given that they're both getting up in years, I wouldn't blame them if they wanted to retire. But then why would Frontiers Records sign them on if there wasn't a plan for more material, assuming this album does well? In the end, I'll just label this choice as an odd misstep.
In the end, The Symbol Remains is good. It's not the strongest the band has ever produced, but it's worth listening to all the same. It's not just good to get new material from the band, it's good to get quality material from them. And even with a few weaker entries, it's still an overall good experience.
If this is the closing of the book, then it's not a bad note to end on. But if it's the dawning of a new era, then it's off to a very good start. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off. I suppose you could argue that the anti-smartphone lyrics of The Machine are a bit on the nose, but at the same time, they're very difficult to argue against.
If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Like and subscribe, then go down to the description to find links to follow us on DeviantArt, Patreon, and Twitter. While you're there, you'll also find the Amazon links for the original novels Operation Red Dragon, The Daikaiju Wars Part 1, and The Occult Mafia. 2 books I think you'll really enjoy. Thank you all, and we appreciate your support.